Hello everyone, welcome back to Why Change channel. I'm Yulia Kosarenko. I'm author of the book Business Analyst, A Profession and a Mindset. For the last 2 years, I've been leading this amazing group called BA Mindset Mentorship Circle, which is a group mentorship project. Through these 2 years, we had so many conversations. We've created a huge video library of helpful videos based on our discussions. And in these meetings, we constantly have new questions. So now what happens while our mentorship circle is on break for the month of March, I have a whole collection of questions that we raised at different meetings and perhaps didn't have enough time to address. So I'm going to address some of those questions in this series of videos. I will try to address each question within 5 minutes, and I'm looking forward to your responses and what you think. So the first question I want to discuss came up in a recent meeting where we talked about stakeholder engagement and bringing stakeholders together and extracting information and working with them towards defining those requirements. And one of the questions was sometimes stakeholders almost think like I am a spy when a business analyst was basically sent down to a business group to observe their current process and understand it. They're being treated as a spy, as someone who was sent to watch what we are doing, to maybe find what we are doing wrong, and they're almost seen as an enemy. Did it ever happen to you? I mean, it's not a normal situation, but it does happen. And let's talk about why this happens and what do you do as a business analyst when you get this hostile vibe from those business experts that you were supposed to work with. For example, if that was planned as a day of job shadowing or process immersion. So one of the important things here to address is that prior agreement between the project or business sponsor of the project and this group of stakeholders about analyzing current process, analyzing current state, to help determine future requirements. That agreement must exist. So if you as a business analyst feel a little bit of awkwardness or hostility or that someone didn't expect you, it may be because that was missed. So you have to, before you go to do your job shadowing immersion, you have to make sure you understand what was done, how was it prepared, and often you are part of it. So that's been planned with a project manager. The permission is usually granted by a business, a sponsor or stakeholder or the manager of the department, so that you are expected, you are invited as a collaborator, again, not as someone who is supposed to watch and see what is not being done right. Your job is to understand the pain points. Your job is to understand how the project can help these stakeholders, how it can help improve the process, to remove pain points, to add automation where it's needed, not necessarily to find faults with what people are doing. Because most of the time, if people on the job are doing something not according to instructions, it may be because the technology does not support them. It may be because current process isn't perfect. It has gaps, or some of the things were not thought through. So people find ways of doing their job that sometimes goes around the rules. So those workarounds often have a very valid reason. And part of business analysis is to discover that reason. Okay, so you do have a specific job to do there, but again, the success of you observing current process and understanding it and maybe capturing it in process flows and details is sitting on top of that foundation of having an agreement. So your sponsor of the project, your project manager must have an agreement about that. Your role as a BA needs to be clear, and ideally during the project kickoff meeting, that role needs to be articulated. So the message that we will be analyzing current process and capturing your pain points and understanding what needs to change, that message needs to be clear. So it's not seen as something you came up with. It is actually part of the normal run of the project to do those activities, okay? So if you as a business analyst feel that you weren't expected, maybe that's because you weren't. So before you go and do the job shadowing work, please make sure that that was planned, there's an agreement, There is communication. Ideally, you are part of that communication. Otherwise, you may feel a little bit awkward, or you may actually feel that your time was wasted if people who you're supposed to work with are not necessarily as forthcoming as you expected. Okay? So you're not alone. You're a business analyst. You're part of the team. You're part of the project. Those activities need to be on the project plan. They need to be planned. They need to be communicated. Your project manager or scrum master or product owner or whoever it is have responsibility as well to prepare the foundation for your successful work as a business analyst. So let me know if that rings any bells for you. What do you do? What difficulties you experience? And I'll see you in the next video where we will tackle another business analysis question. Take care.